right, tell me when. I want to clap. Can I clap? Yeah. Sweet. That's our end. But they don't need our end, but I do it anyways. It makes me feel good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast. I'm Jake. This is Jeff Gogue. We're in Grants Pass, Oregon, which is beautiful. We got here at maybe 3 o'clock today. Hit a little bar, had some lunch, wandered. It's a nice little town. It seems like the town where, you cross the street and everybody's like, hey, Jeff, how's it going?
They do. Yeah. It's weird. And most of
Yeah.
my clients are from out of town or out of state or out of country, and they're always surprised. They always comment on how weird it is that people are nice here.
Yeah.
And
what percentage do you tattoo anyone from this town? Because I noticed like 3 shops coming here, so there are other tattoo shops in town.
Yeah, I moved here 15 years ago. There was 1.5 shops. There was like one shop, and then there was a shop that had been shut down by the health department.
Yeah.
And then the other shop, the owner of it was this old biker tattooer, and he died from hepatitis within like a year of me moving here, maybe 2. And then I moved in around 2004, 2005, and that was right as I was kind of taking off with shows and magazines and all that, and immediately it just started attracting people, and I started getting people asking to work with me, and I went through a few different people that I tried to work with because I was alone for the first few years. And
in this space or where?
In California, Northern California, and then here in a smaller studio just like on the backside of this block.
Oh, okay.
And then one by one, the people that would work with me a little bit, for whatever reasons, would kind of break off. And then I swear it was like they would open a shop like 1 block up,
right.
3 blocks up. It was always the same street.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, there was like 7 shops here, all from people that just kind of came thinking they could just kind of tag on to stuff. But
yeah. So, I mean, as a tattoo town, how is it? Is it this?
You know, I came into at the risk of sounding kind of however it's going to sound, but I mean, it was just plain old white trash.
Yeah.
Just white trash town with small-mindedness towards tattooing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say one of the first tattoos I was asked to do was probably a swastika or an SS on someone's neck. A lot of bikers. I started when I first came to town. I would say the first year I was tattooing like a bunch of bikers, like gang members, and then a bunch of like the whole AA crew from town, which a lot of them were also bikers.
Yeah.
And so, I was tattooing like the AA people and the booze fighters, and like trying to stay out of the vagos kind of thing. And it's crazy. I know that people think of me as just this artsy little guy, but I started off tattooing at biker events run by everyone from the Vietnam vets to the Hells Angels, and I've had to have bouncers with me and guys that are willing to fight. I had to have one guy take care of a person that was bothering me, and I was pretty nervous. How do you take care of him? I don't know. The guy was harassing me when I first came to town, and I called this guy, and it sounds like just like the typical story, but his name was Crash. He's a Harley riding, big bearded booze fighter.
Yeah.
And I was tattooing him. I was doing a back piece on him. And I told him that this guy was bothering me, and he said he's not going to bother you anymore.
Wow.
He got his number. I had a pretty shitty voicemail where the guy was harassing me, and Crash went and took care of him, and he came back. He said that guy's not going to bother you anymore. I go, what'd you do? And he goes, he's not going to bother you anymore. And about a year later, Crash went to prison and I never saw him again.
Seriously?
He went to prison for kidnapping and something else.
But you don't know if it had to do with that event.
It didn't have to do with that guy. It was another guy. And actually, because I was tattooing so many of these bikers, this bike gang kidnapped a dude from another gang and beat him to shit. And they went to prison.
So just so I'm understanding, this is here in this town?
In this town, yeah.
Crazy. I thought it was like Mayberry when I came in. Like,
no, I mean, this is there was a huge like kind of white supremacy kind of vibe here. There was a big KKK thing here for decades. There was a huge lot of gang stuff up in Portland. Yeah, Oregon has like this history like that.
Idea. So what made you come here then?
Honestly, I came here because I was in a tiny town in Northern California, and I'm a self-taught tattooer, scratcher,
Mm-hmm.
tattooing out of my house for the first year, and then my own shop after that, and never apprenticed. And I was too scared to move to a city where there was big tattooers, and I didn't want to compete. So I came from a town of 5,000. This town is 35,000. There's about 150,000 within like 45 minutes of here. So it felt like there was enough people, but I wasn't in like a tattoo place like Portland or San Francisco. And I figured I-5 runs from LA to, Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured you have like LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. I'll just go in between. So it was a very strategic place to move just based on basically the interstate and population. And then I had little kids. My son, who's 17 now, he was like 2 or something when I moved here.
Wow.
And my daughters were in middle school.
Huh. It's interesting that you consciously made a move to a small town, trying to like not have to compete in a bigger market, but then made a name for yourself as kind of a competitor of like like putting yourself out there and whatever
Yeah. Well, the town I came from was 5,000 people, and we were literally in the middle of nowhere. And so, and I had already been successful there for about 4 years, pulling people in from, an hour and a half away, 2 hours away from cities like Reno, Nevada, and Sacramento, California, and Chico, California. And so I had already started that way, and so it just made sense to me. Like it was the easiest way to do it, and it was the most respectful way for me. I wasn't gonna go try to move into like Portland, into like a full tattoo scene. I definitely didn't have the confidence, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. So that was the biggest thing. Was I thought, well, I'll just go into a small town and just try to make a name for myself and build it that way. And I came here and I was super aggressive about working tattoo conventions and about marketing. And this is pre-social media. I think I started my MySpace page probably second year here or something. But at that point, I'd already worked conventions, pretty much all national shows, like anywhere along the West Coast from San Diego or LA to Seattle. And then I had worked like Pittsburgh a couple times and Las Vegas and things like that. And I started getting recognition that way. And then it just literally blew up. Going to London in 2006 blew everything up. And it just was out of control.
Yeah. So fast forward a handful of years, and I watched you do a seminar at the last one in Portland that you guys put on, the Worldwide Conference. I was there, and first off, I think you could, like, if the tattoo thing doesn't work out long term, you could be a motivational speaker. I think you're one of the most natural kind of storytellers, or the most natural real storyteller in all of, like, especially in tattoo. Not that there's a ton of competition in tattoo seminar world or whatever, but I thought that you were the most natural person on stage and engage people probably better than anyone that I've seen. And something that struck me that I thought was really funny that we deal with a lot on the show is people come in and they really are looking for something specific from you, right? They have a problem and they feel like you're the guy probably to solve it. And I loved that you came out. I don't know if you even remember. The talk was like finding your why, like why are you doing the things that you're doing? And you started with like, here's how I design back pieces. I split the back into like 6, and then I put something important here, and then I put something important here, and then I put something here, and then that's my layout. Now let's talk about what I came here to talk about. And I thought that was I'm just curious if that's like, if you feel like the questions that people have to ask a lot of times aren't the problems that they really have to solve, and that's just like your tongue-in-cheek way of dealing with it, of getting them to listen to you.
Yeah, it is for sure. So the backstory on all of that, and thank you for saying all that. The backstory is I'm a terribly insecure, introverted, terrified person. Like I sweat too much, and I have all these complexes about me. And one of my biggest things was being shy and being intimidated by people, and I intentionally, really out of spite and anger, and out of like just feeling frustrated that I'm even built this way, I just thought, I'm just going to start forcing myself in front of people, and it's terrifying. And I mean, I'm nervous right now. The cameras are weird and all that. I hate my voice. I hate my vocabulary. I hate the way I look. All those normal things for, I think, normal people. So So I started teaching seminars in order to conquer that fear and just kind of get over it. And then I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the effect that it has on people. And I did also fall in love with just that kind of, you have to abandon yourself. At some point you have to fall off the cliff and just like either live or die,
Yeah.
And so that there is a slight adrenaline rush to that I do like. And I do, it's been years and years of practicing at trying to tell stories. I want to tell good stories, and I want to engage people, and I want to leave an impression. And so that was intentional. As far as, it is a tongue-in-cheek thing. I'm at the point now where I'm kind of tired of my voice, and I'm tired of the things I have to say. And I figure now, like at this point, if there's any sort of insight that I have to give, I feel like the people that are going to get it are already got it. And the people that aren't going to get it, I can't do anything for them. And so I am at a slightly just kind of like, what's the point? Kind of apathetic.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather help other people do that. And it's like, I'm tired of my voice. I'd love to hear your voice. So I'm way more in the mode right now of finding people that I feel like have something to say based out of either their passion or their experience or whatever, and helping them say it based on experience. It's like I've over 10 years now of teaching and doing seminars and conferences. And my main thing is I tell anyone that wants to do it, like there's 3 things you got to focus on. First thing is you got to say what your audience wants to hear. Then you should say what you want to say. And then you kind of sum it up with like ultimately, and it's got to be some sort of combination of those 2 things.
Yeah.
I think that the best thing that anyone that gets up to talk in front of people can do is explain that they struggle too. Explain their struggles, explain their successes, and then hopefully the whole point of it is to trigger the perpetuating of that. To perpetuate that whole idea that this is how I see something, and it might help you see something clearer or better, or maybe validate how you see it or whatever. So, I'm always operating on these kind of big layers that are transparent, and so I will throw things like that out that just, it's like, most people want to know, like, what kind of needles do you use, or, how fast do you run your machine, and at the risk, instead of just saying, like, you guys, that doesn't matter, like, you're idiots. I don't want to do that. So I go, well, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I can tell you that. It's probably not going to help. Exactly. That's why it jumped out at me so much when you said it. And I instantly, I laughed about it right there on the spot because, we may be doing some type of a tutorial on why you would choose to build lines up to use like hard edges and soft edges and lost edges and things like that. And exactly to your point, the first 10 questions are, hey, what needle configuration is that? What voltage are you running that machine at? That kind of thing. It's like, that's not the point of the tutorial at all. But someone said something really interesting to me once that's exactly to your point, where you have to solve the viewer's problem, or the person that you're talking to. You have to solve the problem that they think they have first. And they put it in a really interesting way to me. They said that, like, if someone wants to lose 20 pounds for their 20-year high school reunion that's in 6 months, they don't really want your 30-minute podcast on diet and exercise. What they want is like a 30-second sum up of, when I'm in line at Krispy Kreme, what do I order to lose 20 pounds in 6 months? And so even though that's not possible, if you can at least address that question, then you haven't earned their attention enough to even talk about what can actually help them.
Right.
And I thought that was a really interesting way to put it. It's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't say that's not important. I can't say that's not what this is about.
Right.
And you can't get on stage and say, it doesn't matter what needles I'm using. This is what's important.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically the exact same thing you just said. I thought that's really, really interesting. So leading that into I recently watched Surrender when I was at the other Off the Map in East Hampton. Before that, I had seen Tattoo as I See It. So starting with Surrender, it starts with you like in 2009, 2010, like on your cell phone, getting off of a plane in Japan. Did you have any idea that you were building that for? Are you just recording that for your own
I was recording. Yeah,
sake?
I was doing it for my own sake. I was doing it for I had my family at home. I went there by myself. So my family was at home. I was going there for 2 weeks, and I knew nothing. And then I also had a few clients that were probably in on what was happening to me, which was kind of like a dream come true. I had been invited by a Japanese tattoo master to go to Japan. It wasn't me going on vacation or anything, and I was going to get my back done. And I had already done videos like that, like I was telling you, back to 2008 or so, a couple years prior, just going to London, going on these little, they were epic things to me because I'd never been to London before. I'd never been to Italy and all those places. And so I was just recording things, and I'm terrible on computers from my perspective, but I was able to kind of somehow manage to use a camera and some, build little videos and put them on my YouTube. And I was making little DVDs and stuff at the time. So when I got there, my plan was I was just going to record my whole trip each day and then upload it into iMovie, make a little thing, put it on YouTube so I could show everyone at home what I was doing. So I did that the whole time. I did 10 videos my first trip. And so all day long, no matter what I was doing, I was working, I was eating, I was with Shige, or getting tattooed, I was just filming. And I was really obnoxious, and I feel bad now because I mean, you know what it's like. Like, if you're behind the camera going like this, it feels fine.
Yeah.
But when someone puts a camera in your face, you're just like, get that out of my face. Yeah. And I was doing that to Shige, and I barely even knew him. It's like I had met him. I had been invited there by him based on what he saw in my work. But I was just so obnoxious. I'm like, hi, Shige, how's it going? And I'm holding this camera, and he's shy.
Right.
And long story short is I filmed everything, and then every day without even thinking, with no kind of bead on the culture or etiquette, I just was making these videos and putting them on YouTube, and it was Japan day 1, Japan day 2. And I just thought 5 people were watching it at home, my wife or my kids or my clients, and it's going on my Facebook and stuff. And then it caused all kinds of problems because
Really?
I was showing a very private studio to the world. And I was showing, Tomo, I was showing his drawings that are just for his clients, and I was putting them on YouTube. And from Shige's perspective, the whole entire world was seen. And I'm going, no one's seen this. Like, this is just my friends. He goes, you have 5,000 friends on Facebook.
Right.
He goes, that's 5,000 people from all over the world that are seeing Tomo's drawings, and you didn't even give credit. You didn't say these are Tomo's. What if they think it's yours? I'm just going, of course they don't think it's mine, dude. Like,
Right.
I'm at your shop in Japan. Obviously they're Tomo's. He's going, well, you didn't say it. And that's like my first little peek into Japanese culture and etiquette. But yeah, I didn't think anything of it besides I was just making these videos. At one point, my next trip, I was basically told by Tomo that he was ashamed of everything that I posted because he was laughing and we were joking. It was private encounters that I was making public. To me, I'm just an open guy. I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to answer questions. I'm just showing everyone my life. And to them, they're just like, not everyone deserves to see this. And I don't think I'm right and they're wrong, or they're right and I'm wrong. It's just I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And so I ended up taking all those down except for like 1 or 2, and I just took them down, never showed them to anyone else. They got a few thousand views, and I feel bad. I did ask for permission with Shige. I said, I want to make a video of my back piece, and I want you in it, and would you do this? And he said he would. For me. He said I would never do this.
Yeah.
He's only for you. I'll only do this for you. So Surrender has the only on-camera interview that Shige's ever done. He's not a secret tattooer like a traditional Japanese tattooer, but he's also careful because it's technically illegal there. So it's a real touchy thing that I didn't really know. I just thought, like, we're all just people, right?
Yeah.
I don't see borders. I buy things from China. I don't care. Like,
right.
to me, we're a bunch of humans on the planet.
Right.
The borders are weird to me, but culture I appreciate and want to understand and respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the video Surrender was it was the compilation of all the footage, or not all the footage, little bits of the footage from about 3 years of going there. and then paired up or coupled with some of my clients
Mm-hmm.
and some of the effects that those trips had, and getting tattooed over there had on me, and how that has been transferred to my clients. And then a lot of my clients are tattooers.
Yeah.
So then how that is just perpetual.
Yeah. Yeah. That was going to transition into that, how it moves from you getting tattooed into your clients getting tattooed. And I thought it was really interesting and honest, and how like there were points at it where you're like, well, I don't think I can do this. I can't get through this. And I related to it so much. I had my torso done by Jeff Ensminger a few years ago, so I was making trips to Austin to get tattooed, and I completely overestimated my toughness. I'd been tattooed so much before that. I was like, man, I'm just getting tattooed again, and I felt the same way. And I could see it in your eyes in the video, the same way that I felt, was just like, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
I just try, and yours is even worse. You're going across the world. I'm just making a 10-hour drive from Memphis to Austin, but the same way I was like, oh no, I can't even do this.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's a weird thing, and I mean it's crazy because you can do it. It seems impossible, and then in retrospect, I simultaneously go like, well, I obviously did it. I don't even remember it now.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm going like, I don't know how I did that, because I
Right.
do remember the panic, and I do remember those moments where I felt completely defeated, and then I also remember that it was a while ago now.
Yeah, yeah. I think if nothing else, it really helps a lot when you're, in your relationship with your own clients, and when you're, with long sittings and you're sitting and you're having like a good conversation, and you see the conversation start to taper off, and then you can kind of connect in your own mind. You're like, oh, I remember whenever my conversation started tapering off too. And
Yeah,
so
you got to
know
focus.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's easy as the person, as the tattooer, to just completely ignore that and just keep motoring through. And I've found myself, since going through that, taking the time to go like, do you want to get some coffee? You want to like take a break? Do we need to stretch or anything? And trying to be more mindful, where I was not that way at all before. Before that experience.
It's crazy. I mean, Shige's not. He's just down to business, and he believes in pain being your teacher and all that. But there were those just very few moments, and I'm probably way too coddling of my clients. I'm probably way too accommodating. I'm probably robbing them of a lot of the lessons that their own perceived limitations being pushed through would give them, and I'm trying to work on that. And it is a subtle. It's like I don't want to be a dick, and I also don't want to rob them of those lessons. So it's a tricky thing, and I'm continually working on it. But I remember just those moments where I felt like I cannot do this. And then it would be something as simple as Shige just like stops for 1 second and just puts his hand on my leg.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you're very strong. And then he just goes back to it. And I'm just going,
Right.
I'm going, oh, he thinks I'm strong. Right. Okay, I got to do this.
Right.
And, my version of that with my clients is maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe I stop and I get them some water, or I light some incense, and I'll do the same thing, because I know that mattered. I'll put my hand on their leg or their arm or their shoulder and be like, hey, like, you're awesome, man. We're in this together. You have the hard part, I got the easy part.
Yeah. That's a really interesting perspective. I rarely think about helping them to push through their own boundaries. And I guess sometimes I get caught up in this idea of tattooing over the last however many years becoming more of this boutique kind of salon experience, where they should kind of enjoy their experience. But that's not necessarily, or it has never been the case. It's kind of a new idea. I've been accused of
that multiple times, that I got a salon, spa, shop, and I disagree. I mean, to me, it's more like a shrine. I got it set up. It's very heavily influenced by my trips to Japan and my general sense of spirituality, in terms of, we are kind of like body, mind, and spirit, and the spirit is what kind of drives all of it, right? And so, not in a religious sense at all, like I'm not religious, but spiritually speaking, it's the spirit that's within you that wells up, that I think that's the ultimate like purpose here, and I think that there does need to be um, well, yeah, it's got to hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to just make it a comfortable experience. And I mean, I have towels for people more for modesty than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for comfort or warmth
Mm-hmm.
as much as it's just so I can keep working on them and not worry about clothing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got good, mad towel skills.
Yeah.
I can tattoo everywhere and not see anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's impressive. Let me. I know you want to get. You've been here all day, and you want to get home soon, so I won't keep it too long. But I do want to tackle one other subject that's a little more maybe drawing focused. Doing, bodysuits, large scale work, and being someone that always is trying to push yourself. This is something that I struggle with a lot personally. Is when you're always trying to push yourself and you're taking on projects that sometimes take years. How do you allow for the evolution in your own work when designing your larger scale tattoos, or do you just to let it kind of evolve on its own? Does that question make any sense?
it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the longer you tattoo, you're gonna face that. People don't go away. That's the craziest thing. I mean, I tattoo some people that I've been tattooing for 18 years, and I've been tattooing. It's just crazy. And then all of a sudden I start tattooing their kid.
Right.
That was just born when I started tattooing them, and that's weird too. But
It is.
I think my best way to take in your question is I allow it to be whatever it is. If I tattooed some water on someone like 10 years ago, I'm not going to do it the way I did it 10 years ago, but I'm hoping that my changes are still reminiscent of those. And so the movement is still similar, and I'm going to still just make this. And if I have to transition or if I have to ease back into the old stuff and kind of revamp it or remodel it a little bit, I will. And then there's a certain allowance of just letting that piece go. Like, hey, that was 10 years ago. Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
I did my best then. I'm doing my best now.
Yeah. But when you're say you're designing something new today, and you know that it's going to be several years, and you're lining from knees to shoulders, you're laying that out, and like, well, this might be a 3-year project. When you're mapping it out from the start, do you leave a lot undone? How far do you plan in advance? Is the entire thing planned out for you?
No, I don't plan. No, it's all real general movement. I'm reducing everything continually. I'm having a hard time like articulating that whole concept, but I'm trying to reduce everything down to its most basic form. So it reminds me of martial arts. It reminds me of just one movement. It's coming down to just an arc.
Yeah.
It's one movement. Is it going from here to there, or is it going from there to there?
Right.
To me, I just base it on that, and I'm trying to reduce and minimize and simplify at the risk of feeling like there's probably a good amount of people that are looking at me just going like, this guy's losing it. Like, he's just getting old. He's getting lazy.
Right.
He doesn't care anymore. It's all cliche. I've heard all those things about me, and I disagree. I'm trying to get into subtleties that could only be understood by a very small group of people that have experienced it, and it really comes down to my clientele. That's my base. That's the people I'm working with. But my audience right now really is like veteran tattooers that I'm trying to acknowledge like the fundamentals of tattooing. And it's coming from really falling in love with tattooing and not trying to transpose another art form into a tattoo. I'm not trying to make paintings into tattoos. I'm not trying to make photographs into tattoos. I'm not trying to reinvent tattoos. I'm trying to adhere to that core, the soul of tattooing, without being dogmatic about it and without being constrained by rules. So it's really, I'm in love with tattooing more than anything. It's like, I don't care if I never do another painting again. I like photography. I like making films. I like writing, but I love tattooing. I like music, but if I'm gonna spend an hour of my free time, I'd rather focus it on tattooing than playing my guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That yeah, and I love that. I love that thought. I love just in my entire life. I love to simplify problems into their most basic kind of. I like to dumb them down as much as I can. It makes me feel like I have a little more control over them, and that's I think the same way. And whenever I meet with someone to do a consultation for the first time, I always think like, well, if I'm in line at the grocery store and I'm looking at this person 6 months in the future, what are the most basic dark and light shapes that I would recognize enough on their arm to go like, that looks cool. What is that? And walk towards it. And I
Yeah.
try to like simplify it to that point. I love that approach. That you said it better than I do, but I think I love that approach.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too. I love it. As far as like the forecasting, like down the road, I don't. I'm. If I could define it, I am a reactive, um, improvisational tattooer. I improvise. I react to what is. Sometimes what is a blank slate. It's just a full body or a full back or whatever, and it's untouched. And the reaction to that is I could do anything.
mm-hmm.
But that's like that's like rare.
Yeah.
So 9 out of 10 times there is already what is there's old tattoos, there's new tattoos, there's body parts, there's all this stuff. There's someone saying this is what I want, and the what is a complex like shit show, you know?
Right.
And so my reaction is, well, I can make this look better, I can make that look better. I have learned that probably the most practical thing you can do when your client is covered in a bunch of tattoos is find something that actually looks good
Mm-hmm.
and try to perpetuate that. I'm tattooing someone's back, but they have a chrysanthemum or a peony on their shoulder, or they have a wave on their arm that works. I'm gonna try to radiate that across and through this piece. You take this flower, I'm not just gonna isolate like, well, this is my spot, I'm gonna stake my claim.
Mm-hmm.
I really try to tie in, and the first thing I do now is I tie into what already is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had people that come to me for a back piece, and they have a tattoo on their calf, and I'm going, well, that's where we got to start, because this isn't yet. Like all of this is just like in limbo. This already exists, and I don't want to start here and try to reconcile at that point. I'm going to start there, and then I have then it's like the road's clear. I can do whatever I want from there out.
Yeah.
But if I start here, I have to somehow like navigate and reconcile it down to this little point. And I've done that for long enough that it's frustrating. So it's like, whatever you got, I'll look at what you got. So when someone says, I want to get tattooed, I just say I need to see what you got. And I look at their whole body and I'm like, okay, I like that. Do you have any tattoos you like?
Yeah.
They do. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to start there.
Yeah.
And as soon as we can clear the road, then we're all in.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great great way to approach it. And it's a jumping off point, like you said, like, okay, that is light and it's kind of round. So something dark needs to be near it, and maybe it needs to be harsher just to push from that. And then now we have some place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great approach. I've never thought of it like from that, from that much of a top down approach where you're
I would
looking
say
at
that's
the entire
pretty
body.
new for me too. And it's something I discovered. I wasn't told that. It came from starting in the middle of blank and reconciling to get or not, and just literally getting close and just going, I don't know what to do, and then having these weird little gaps and bridges, and then just pulling out some bullshit. But I love if someone already has tattoos on their arms, I'm doing their back, first thing I do is I tie that whole top bar and I make it look like a back piece, at least for that top 2 inches. And then from there down, we just keep working at it. And whenever someone asks me like, oh, what are you going to do here? What are you going to do there? I always say, I don't know yet, but I'm going to do the best I can when we get to that point. You know?
Yeah. I love it. That's the same way. Like, well, what am I going to do? What color is that going to be? Hard to know at this point. It's probably going to be light. I can tell you that because I got a lot of dark right there, but that's about all I know at this point. Yeah, I love it. So Surrender is on Vimeo. I saw it on Vimeo, right? And it's free, isn't it?
It's free, yeah. I paid for it out of pocket. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was really well put together. Really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. I am happy with it. It's same as anything. I don't like watching it. I'm on it too much. When I talked to the director, I hired a guy that was a filmmaker to do it instead of doing it myself. And I told him, first thing I said was, I don't want to be in this. Like, I want the star of this story to be the tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he wasn't tattooed. He doesn't know any of that. He doesn't know my own personal struggle. And he's like, oh, but you are the star. Like, you're awesome. I love you.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, dude, I don't love me. Like, please. And in the end, there's way too much of me in it. And we cut so much of it out. We had 6 different edits. I'd never been through that process before.
Yeah.
The 6 edits were just trimming as much as we could out of it, taking out as much as possible. And my ultimate goal with any project is that it's viable, so that if I put 20 grand into it, like this movie, I want to at least get 20 grand out. I'm not looking to like get rich off anything.
Mm-hmm.
I make my money by tattooing. So any other fringe thing I do, whether it's prints or a book or whatever, it's always just to try to give back, but I do want it to be viable because I don't want to like waste my money.
Right.
And the thing that happened with this was I paid for it so long ago, and the post-production part of it was so, I gave up on it so many times because we were just not understanding each other, or maybe I'm just too hard to understand. I don't know, but I gave up on it a few times. I had some help kind of pulling it out of the trash can, and then by that point, the money was already gone, like almost a year.
Yeah.
I sat on it for months and months, and I thought, I don't need the money. Like, I'm obviously fine. Still making my house payment, still making my car payment. I guess I don't need that 20 grand. So it became something like, I've spent $20,000 on lots of things. You know, you buy cars and then you end up selling them or giving them to someone that needs a car or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't need this money back. Instead of trying to sell a 30-minute video in some, like, oh, you can download it for $4.99 or whatever, I just thought, fuck that. Like, I want people to watch it. And then where I'm at right now is I haven't really told anyone where it is.
Yeah.
A few people, even my clients this week, they're like, when's Surrender coming out? And I'm just going, you guys are terrible.
Right.
No, I'm terrible at it because I don't want to say like, hey, you guys go watch a movie about me.
Yeah.
But it's not honestly about me. It's about tattooing. And it's about what it does to you. It's about that transformation. So yeah, it's on my Vimeo. It's in 4K, and it's free. And it's on my YouTube in 4K for free. And then it's also on Off the Map
on
their YouTube. They have like way more views because they know how to like put it up with the search engines and stuff. I just put it up. But
yeah, they have their little magic area up high where they do all their
So what's cool for me about that is I didn't think it's like the relief that I have from not needing to get the money back is 10 times better of a feeling to me than making money or like, oh, if I finally made my money back, like who cares?
Right.
At that point, who cares? So at this point, I want to promote it more. I want to put it out there. I just had to sit on it for a minute.
Yeah. That makes sense. I understand it. And I honestly, I don't feel like it didn't come across as a movie about you at all to me. I thought it was a movie about tattooing, about that. I thought it was, like well titled. It was about surrendering. It was about the process. I thought it was nice that you brought other people in. You got to see Shige's work on you. Got to see a lot of your work on other people. There were a lot of perspectives, in the documentary.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done.
I did just put out a little. It's a 16-minute interview of one of the people that were on there, of Daniel Miller. He was my very first full body suit ever.
Did you? You may have just put some just in the last couple of days about that on your.
Yeah.
I think I scrolled past. I saw it.
Yeah. So what I did was I took the raw footage from the original interview and I just made it its own video. So it's 16 or 17 minutes, but it's really good. I really like it.
It's on your Vimeo as well.
It's on. I think it's just on my
YouTube?
YouTube.
Okay.
I got to get it up on Vimeo, but
We don't use Vimeo. All of our stuff's on YouTube, but
that's what I keep hearing. But
but Vimeo, to me, it's anytime I go to Vimeo, I feel like it's going to be artsier than whatever I'm watching on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is super cluttered, but it's got a lot of good stuff. But yeah, Vimeo is kind of precise about that stuff.
Really clean. I feel like we should use it. I don't know why we don't, because we're not very artsy. We're more cluttery.
Yeah, Vimeo it's artsy, and I do use it because I do have some videos that are for sale, and they're very organized about selling things and doing downloads and stuff. And I get a daily report of what video. It's always like I sell like tattoos. I see it like once a day.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know where that money goes.
Yeah, it's like the YouTube ads before. They're like, if you look at your revenues, you're like, oh wow, we made $234. Did they send that to us or no? Is it just like where we just feel good about ourselves for looking at the money? Internet dollars are not actual dollars. So, man, I know you need to get home. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's been great.
You guys already know where to find him. Gogue, firesidetattoo.com. And make sure, if you haven't seen Surrender, to check it out. What camera am I looking at? Make sure if you haven't seen Surrender, to check it out. It was really great. I thought you did a great job. It's awesome that it's free.
Thank you.
It's not that long. It's like a half hour long, right?
Half an hour, yeah.
Yeah, you have a half an hour.
It fits in the short film category.
Perfect. Thank you guys, as always, for supporting what we do. Thank you for having us out.